FDA published a paper criticizing the industry that is not collaborating enough. Best example of that is every industry is trying to develop their own protocol for a molecule. She advocates for a use of so-called master protocols, whereby there would be a single protocol available and multiple treatments could be tested against that. As well as you could do basket clinical trials where you would test a number of a molecule against a basket of various diseases. So the industry has embraced collaboration, but certainly there are still areas that it needs to explore further. And it's in our best interest that by effective collaboration, the cost of development will go down from the current 2.5 billion, which is prohibitive per average developed molecule, to something substantially less, and we would be able to benefit as patients more.
Thank you. Any comment?
Thank you for your comment. Again, it depends on what do you want to achieve with your partnerships? Do you want to copy the technology, bring it here and create your own biosimilars, for example? Or, as Dr. Al-Askar said, do you want your academia to research new products, drug discovery and drug development, then commercialize it and sell it to the big pharma companies? So it really depends on what you really want to do. And if you want to do it through the universities, you have to focus on preclinical trials, and you need to have certain collaboration with phase 1 clinical study. Once you have establishment of your product might be a blockbuster, then you can commercialize it to the big pharma companies. So again, it depends on what you really want to achieve.
Well, thank you. It seems that we have challenges mentioned earlier. We try to set them up front, but as the discussion is going, we are hearing some other challenges. One of the challenges is the understanding of the whole concept. Any further comments or questions? Yes, please, Dr. Al-Ali.
A great panel discussion. Thank you. A very quick question. How would you assess the success of a partnership?
To use business speak, you can look at objectives achieved, metrics, blah, blah, blah. But it really comes down to, do both parties have a good feel of satisfaction from that? I hate to use the human element, but really that's what it comes down to, because otherwise you go from a partnership into more of a contract association if you're just completing a statement of work with specific milestones. So I go back to the former. It's, can both people appreciate and look upon that partnership as mutually beneficial? Would I do it again? Would I recommend it? And how that is perceived by both parties.
Thank you. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you for this very nice discussion. I'm asking about the biotechnology companies. Any research lab who would like, let's say, to convince a biotechnology company here in Saudi Arabia, he will face difficulties if he'd like to convince Saudi or national biotechnology company, which are, I think, very limited number of these companies in Saudi Arabia, or at least in the region. The most difficult things is to convince a global or international companies from Western side or even from Eastern side to make like a partnership or like a collaboration with them. When you talk with any of these companies, they even directly or indirectly, they said, we will give priority for this such research or such product for Western countries bioincubator, because they give them more trusted, and this is logic most of the time, and because they have a long history as a research centers and a research group. My question is, as we have seen a database of how many published paper in clinical trial or clinical field this morning, my question is to Saudi FDA or to King Abdulaziz Medical City, how many research centers or research group in national-wise have convinced global or international companies to make a collaboration? What type of collaboration? How big is that investment? Is there a success story in this field? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ali?
First of all, thank you for the question. There are about 30 manufacturers in Saudi Arabia. And most of these manufacturers have collaborated with companies from outside Saudi Arabia. So collaboration is there. When it comes to is it successful or not, I think the most recent success story has to be Steyr Pharma. They are trying to manufacture cytotoxic products that treat cancer, and they have been successful. I think they have already registered about 10 products, and they are working on transferring knowledge on how to produce these products in Saudi Arabia. These products have been in a shortage list for a long time, and most likely we will solve this problem in the coming 2 years. And again, now I think there are other manufacturers are trying, for example, Spimaco, I think, have an agreement with Roche to produce biotechnology products here in Saudi Arabia. So there are a lot of success stories. But I think, again, we can do more. There are a lot of products that are going out of patent. So if you can create a hub for production of biotech products, not just to cover local manufacture and local need, but to become an exporter of these products and become a reference country in this kind of manufacturing.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Unfortunately, we are getting toward the end of our session, and we have only 5 minutes, and we want to make use of it to hear about the recommendations to build strong and effective R&D through collaboration.
Thanks a lot. It's also like an answer of our colleague question. The other like governmental institute or like R&D institute, they need to be business ready. They need to be well, let's say, structured and based in terms of collaborating in terms of like a commercial side. If like the other parties, especially like from the biotech companies, didn't see that flexibility and also the readiness of building commercial partnership, no company, especially the large one or the multinational one, will be attractive to build a relationship with the R&D and biotech R&D center, or let's say academic center. That's
Dr. McNeil?
A very good strategy is to get out on the road, just to network, to have face-to-face contact at societal meetings, at bio meetings, at CRS. The reason I'm here is because of one of those meetings exactly. The other recommendation is just an understanding and a caution that it doesn't just happen overnight. There's momentum that's built with credibility. And after you land the first collaboration, word gets out and people will ask about you as a biotech company or you as a infrastructure resource. And so just continue to maintain that very good credibility. And once that credibility is established, you'll find that it snowballs, and all of a sudden you don't just have one collaboration, but you have almost more than you can handle. But I come back to what I said earlier, is that credibility can be lost in an instant if there's a misunderstanding, if there's a distrust, or perhaps even a breach of contract. So just to state the obvious is your word and your reputation are germane to establishing those collaborations.
Dr. Ali?
Thank you very much. I think focus is very important. We already have the strategy, Vision 2030, and it clearly states that we need to increase the production pharmaceuticals and biotech products from 20% to 40%. I think having the right collaboration and being focused on what we want to achieve. Do we want to just do the research, or do you want to actually have products that increase the local content and increase our GDP? So I think focus and a clear strategy and vision is very important.
Okay, thank you. I think we reached the end of our session today. I would like to thank our panelists for their informative comments and knowledge and their time. And also I would like to thank the audience for being with us today and for their participation. Thank you all.
لا لسه